What is up, cupcakes? It's your boy Paperback Dan, and I'm super excited about this video that I have for you guys. I am here today to talk about a Kickstarter called Cosmos 6 from Advent Comics, and I am with Tony from Advent Comics. Say hi.
Hey, how you doing, everybody? Dan, thanks for having me today. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure to have you. I'm super excited to do this, like I already said. So, I mean, let's get right into it. Tell us a little bit about Advent Comics, where you started, how you started, what your role in the company is.
Okay. Well, I am the founder, the creator, and the head writer of most of the titles at Advent Comics. And we started back in 2009, and we've been plugging along ever since. We're coming along on our 12th year. We got some great new titles for everybody. Cosmos 6 is one of those titles that we're introducing this year. Advent Comics, our goal is our little tagline actually is to put the soul back in the comics, meaning to put the fun back in the comics. We try to give you guys great stories, great art. We try to give you everything that we felt at the time some of the mainstream titles have been lacking. And we hope you guys, once you look at some of our books and read some of our books, that you'll agree with us.
Awesome. I love that. I truly think that's fantastic. So I guess the first thing is, for you as founder, like lead writer, etc., what were some of your like inspirations, or like who was your, maybe this question's twofold. Who is your favorite writer? And if it's not the same answer, who was your biggest inspiration for you to become a writer?
Okay. Going back, I'll answer that in two parts. One of my favorite writers now is Christopher Priest. I love his stuff, even back to his old Marvel days. I'm following this guy. But the writer who influenced me the most when I got into comics was Steve Englehart. I loved his Avengers stuff. I still am a huge Avengers fan. And when I just started reading his stuff, like the Avengers Defenders War, the Celestial Madonna saga, I was just blown away. I mean, the guy just weaved everything in. I mean, it was like soap opera, but it had like complex storylines, and he just had you guessing. I just loved his writing, and I had a chance to meet him, and I was floored away. I was like the biggest fanboy ever when I met him. But yeah, he greatly influenced me to get into comics. And then, of course, Chris Claremont will be honorable mention, because his X-Men stuff, grew up on it as well. Every single issue at the store when it came out.
That's awesome. That passion that you just showed me right there, I think it's incredible. I think that's the kind of thing that like these independent publishers need. So I know that like your heart's in it, which is awesome.
Yes. Oh yes. I'm a big fan of indie comics, period. And not just our stuff, but I support pretty much all indies, because if you get into this indie comic book game, you have to have a passion for it, and it'll show. And so I just want to help, and it's hard work, and I just want to, help everybody as much as we can, because this is a community, and I know how complicated and hard it is. So I just want to know, hey, I see what you're doing. Keep going. I'm a big fan as well. As well as doing my own thing, I'm a huge fan of other people's works.
That's awesome. So I discovered you guys through social media. I believe it was Twitter. I saw, it might have been like some pictures for Titan the Ultraman potentially that I saw, and I was like, wow, this looks really cool. And then like I started, like creeping, I guess, a little bit more to see some of your other stuff, and I really liked what I saw, so I decided to like give you guys a follow and continue to try to check you out and see what you had going on and stuff.
Thank you.
And full disclosure, I haven't backed your Kickstarter yet. I do plan to, because I do like what I see. But for other people who haven't backed yet, you can kind of treat it like you're selling it to me a little bit and things like that.
Well,
so I guess some more like real quick icebreaker things. Are you reading anything right now?
The comics that I'm reading right now are still as indie stuff. I pretty much read all the indie stuff. I'm a huge supporter of like people's Kickstarters, so I read those books. But I still do read a couple mainstream books. So I mean, I'm still reading Green Lantern here and there. I'm still reading some Marvel stuff. Avengers. I'll never leave Avengers no matter what. I mean, I've been a bit Avengers fan for so many decades. So I'm still reading that. But pretty much everything I read nowadays is indie. And when I have the time, to be honest, totally honest, full disclosure, when my time permits, I'll say that, because it's a lot of stuff trying to get Advent books together. So
Right.
have downtime. It's pretty much an indie comic I'll pick up first. Pretty much indie comic.
I understand that. As much as I love Marvel books, like, I don't know if you can see them back here. I got them all.
I can see your selection. Yeah.
As much as I love Marvel and DC and stuff, indies and like the creator-owned like Image, all that stuff, like that's where my attention usually gets drawn to first. So I get it. I definitely get it. And now I myself am starting to get into like the really like truly independent game. I'm starting to find out all these publishers that like have some really cool stuff, and I've started backing a bunch of Kickstarters and stuff. So like, it's cool.
I actually noticed you not on Twitter, it was on Instagram, because you were following one of our peer publishers, Concrete Comics, Lonzo Starr and his crew.
Yeah.
Really great people. And that's how I found you on Instagram. They are excellent. They are one of the indies that I follow, along with Wingless Comics, Bristol Media, Lawful Evil. I mean, there's so many. Miskatonic High. I love them so much. I even brought them over to Advent. So it's so many awesome indie titles out there. If anybody who's listening to your show, please give the indies a try, because these guys are writing some amazing stuff. Truly amazing. And I think you'll do yourself a serious justice by reading.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Like I said, I'm still like I got my toes in there a little bit. I haven't jumped yet, but once these Kickstarters like actually start coming in and I get to read what I got, I'll definitely.
You're gonna like it, and I personally guarantee you're gonna like the stuff you're gonna see from Concrete. These guys are doing some amazing stuff. As a matter of fact, Concrete Comics appeared in Cosmos. Little known fact. Their Absolver and their Acolyte character appeared in issue 5, which just passed. It was a 40-page book, and they appeared in that alongside some other surprise indie comic characters. Fist of Justice appeared in that one. First Man from Image, Randy Smith Image. Ultra from Andy Smith. Who else appeared in issue 5? Punt Presses, The Globalists, The Celtic Clan. Dark Horse's Nexus, Mike Burns' Nexus. So we try to. Cosmos is not just a 12-issue maxi series about my company, about Advent, but it's a love letter to indie comics as well. So you're going to see a lot of different indie creators appear in this book that we're doing. Actually, the count is 92 actual creators and publishers are appearing in Cosmos.
Wow, that's huge.
It's taken quite some time to put it all together, but
I can only imagine a number that big. It's gonna take some time.
It took some time.
So last question I got for you while you're telling us about yourself. So how did Advent Comics come to be? You said you've been around for 12 or 13 years now, which is crazy, because I really just found out about you guys within the last 8 or so months.
Most people have. It's been a quiet grind. Like most indie creators, I have a day job and all that. So I was working with Advent stuff when I had time off and whatever. So it was a grind of getting the books together and putting everything together. But it started back in 2009. My wife and I were celebrating our anniversary. We were out in San Diego. And Tyrese Gibson, the movie star from Fast and the Furious, was at our hotel. So I ran into him at the bar, went up to the 45th floor. San Diego's gorgeous, by the way. If you've never been, please go.
I haven't. I always wanted to go.
Oh, man, that was my first time, and I just was in love with the place. So I went up to that bar because you could see pretty much the whole Bay Area and the whole Waterside from that bar. So Tyrese walked in the bar, and I was like, "Oh, that's Tyrese." And I was like, should I say something? I want to, be that guy. I know he's probably just
Right.
And I just said, "Hey, love your movies, love your music, cool." And he was like, "Okay." And he talked for a minute, and a brief small chat. And I was like, "What are you saying? They go, you filming a movie or something?" He's like, "No, I'm here for Comic Con." I was like, "Comic Con?" I was like, "You like comics?" He's like, "I have a comic." And this is when he was doing a comic for Image called Mayhem. So he had his own comic. And he was like, "Yeah," he's like, "You gotta come to Comic Con." I said, "Well, I didn't know it was this week." And I said, "My wife and I celebrate an anniversary." I was like, "Yeah, I love comics since I was a kid." He was like, "Well, you gotta come on through." And I said, "Well, I don't got tickets, whatever." Gave me tickets to the show. So I was like, cool. So
Wow.
me and my wife went, saw him at his booth doing his thing, took a picture with him. And I had a ticket, so I walked around and everything. And I only saw like a few people in the showroom area who just pretty much just represented myself. And I was like, wow, like all these guys selling comics, and there's only like 2, 3 guys look like me in this whole building. And so they were like, "Yeah, comics is a rough industry to get into. If you get into it, it's a lot of hard work." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And I was like talking to some different guys. And one guy was like, "Well, you need to come back tomorrow's show if you can." And you go to this panel called the Black Panel. And I was like, "Never heard of it." I'm like, "What is it?" He was like, "You just need to go." So the ticket I had did let me come back tomorrow. So I went to the next day and went to this function, and it was like all these big name people in the crowd. There was Dennis Cowan. There was at the time you had Ken Lashley was in there. It was like movie stars and actors, and I was like, "Wow, this is amazing." And they were talking about just being getting more Black and brown people into comics, and I was like, "Wow!" I was like, I love comics ever since I was 6 years old. I used to write a little bit in college. I'm like, we could do this. I'm like, yeah. So that got the passion going. And when the show was over, I just went up and introduced myself to one of my idols in the industry, was Dennis Cowan. And he was talking to a guy I didn't know at the time. And I told him, I said, "Hey, I loved your stuff ever since I was little. I just want to introduce yourself." And I told him about an idea I had for like basically a Black Superman character called Titan. And as I'm telling him, the guy he's talking to was like, "I'd love to do that." I found out it was Ken Lashley. And I was like, "Oh, are you kidding me?" I was like, "Man, I'm watching your work now on Black Panther. You just got on Black Panther." I was like, "This is amazing." And so he did the very first drawing of Titan. And from there, when I got home, I stayed in San Diego like a week. I got home that whole week. It was just nothing but writing stories. And my wife was like, "If I see one more notebook or notepad with stories, so I'm going to throw it all out the window." But I mean, now she's like, "Hey, I'm glad I didn't throw your notebooks out the window. You actually you had a passion for something, you did it, and we're still doing it." But that's how it all started. And then it was a long process. I went through to find artists. I had found a couple guys off of Facebook. I mean, basically, I saw different guys' art on Facebook, asked them about it. Aaron Mead, Dodi Ika, Ace Continuato, a few other guys who did work for us. And basically, I found 10 artists, and we started advent with those 10 artists. And we've been rocking ever since. So that's the origin
Awesome.
of comics.
What a story. I mean, that's a crazy turn of events.
Yeah, it was. It was how it all came together. I mean, I personally felt that was just meant to happen, because no way all of those different stars could align. I mean, it was just meant for me to start Advent. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Wow, I'm like floored by that a little bit. That's incredible. So I mean, what are your goals, as a publisher as a whole, even if it's just like maybe short term?
Well, the short-term goal that I have is to finish out this year, introducing some new books to everyone. But the initial goal that I have is to introduce everyone who loves comics to Advent Comics. Like you said, you didn't know about Advent Comics. A lot of people didn't know about us. But before, maybe just last year, working behind the scenes, even though we'd been in business for like 10 years, most people didn't know we'd been around that long. And we had gotten physical sales, physical books into 54 different countries. So we're selling in 54 different countries, not digitally, physically into those countries. And people are like, why don't you talk about that more? I'm like, well, I do, but you know, it is what it is. And they're like, that's impressive. We don't even know who Advent is. I'm like, I know, but I'm trying to change all that. So I am trying to change and put the word Advent Comics on everyone's lips. And hopefully you see our comics, you'll like our comics, and you can judge for yourself if, you know, we're worthy of your time and your investment with us. I think you'll like us.
Awesome. That's so cool. So yeah, Cosmos #6. It's on Kickstarter as we speak. How much time's left as of right now?
2 weeks. And there's a funny story behind Cosmos. One of the main characters in the book, I get a lot of ribbing for this. And everybody's like, that's Adam Warlock. Marvel's Adam Warlock. I started my passion for writing comics started back in, like, I think it was 99. Was it 99? No, because it was before San Diego. So Marvel had this little imprint thing they were trying out. It was right after the comic bubble exploded. Marvel was looking for talent. They had this thing called Epic, this line called Epic, where they would letting people submit to them. And I had wrote up a story, and I loved Marvel's cosmic stuff. Jim Starlin, I grew up with his cosmic characters, Thanos, Captain Marvel, Warlock. Those are my favorite. So I crafted a story around Warlock. And it got a pretty good reception from Marvel, made it up to the editorial. A couple guys were like, we like what you're doing with it. But they killed us. They didn't go forward with the story because they said they had another route for Warlock. Basically, they killed him off again. So story didn't go anywhere, but I'm like, hey, a couple guys from Marvel editorial like my story. That's pretty impressive. So when I opened up Advent, I took that story, retweaked it, created my characters, and made it around my version of Warlock, which is a character called Genesis. So that's why when they see it, they're like, that's Warlock. I'm like, no, it's a character called Genesis. But I took that story and I ran with it. And then I kind of tweaked it even further and made it into a big indie company crossover. So not only does it tell that story, it also crosses us over with, like I said, 90 other indie comic creators and publishers. And Cosmos 6 is the halfway point of that story. And it's a big 48-page book. It gets us to the middle of the story, and it weaves together the plot lines that appeared in the first 6 issues. And it propels us into the second half of the story. We find out at the end of Cosmos 6 who the main villain really is, and everything else kind of gels together. So at first you'll see there's 4 main plot points. And by the end of issue 6, everything makes sense and it gels all into one storyline.
Okay, cool. So as you just said, you're very influenced, or at least this story is, with the Jim Starlin cosmic stuff.
Oh yeah.
So my question was going to be who is this book for? But I guess it's for the people who like that kind of thing.
It's for people who love cosmic stories. It's for people who love crossovers such as Crisis on Infinite Earths. Also, if you like 90s comics, this gives you that kind of a feel, that kind of vibe. So I'm going heavy with that, and you'll see it in the works, in the books. And like I said, it's a love letter to indie comics, because there's so many different indie comics characters, big and small, popping up. I mean, people are like, whoa, how'd you get this person to be in your book? And do they know this? I was like, trust me, anyone who appears in Cosmos, we have authorization, and the creators have supported us by putting them in our book. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see it all gel together and to see the type of response we've had. with other indie comic creators who some have been sitting on this for years, and they're because it's taken me that long to get all the rights and stuff cleared and get the story together. So when their characters finally appear, they're like, oh yeah, it was in the works. And I applaud them. Thank you all for keeping quiet about this so we don't ruin the surprise for fans. And to those creators whose characters are coming up, please keep it quiet some more.
That's awesome. That's so cool. And I mean, so you said there's about 2 weeks left, and you are already funded, correct?
Yeah, it's already funded. We are approaching our second backer goal. Every 50 backers, we're going to give the backers something special. And we're going to our first sequel, our first stretch goal. It was a secret stretch goal. So I think we were like $80 away. If we get $3,000, every backer will get a free trade. We do trading cards as well. We have our own trading card. And matter of fact, show some of your fans what some of our cards look like. I don't know if they can see them. This is one. This is a character called Jester. Great artwork, front and back. You'll have like little bios, powers, and such characters.
So it's very like reminiscent of like the old school Marvel like trading cards.
It's the old school Marvel universe. Yes, exactly.
That was a big thing for me because my dad was like big into comics when he was growing up and a teenager and stuff. So I think that like influenced me. So he had a ton of those trading cards, and I remember I used to love like sneaking some away and like reading the back to like learn about people and all that stuff. So trading cards have a special place in my heart.
Joe Jesco was the man with his Marvel masterpieces, and I wanted to model our trading cards after his style of work. So yeah, that's exactly what they are. You're spot on.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, so we have 2 weeks ago, but that's one of the excuse me, one of the stretch goals. If we get to, like I said, $80 more, everyone will get one of the new sets of cards, the Series 2 cards. We're up to Series 3, which will drop in a Kickstarter later in the year. Everyone seems to love them. We're going to keep going with them. As a matter of fact, I'll show you guys. Series 2, they come in little hobby boxes, 20 packs, sealed wrappers. They even have old school gum in them. I mean, we went all out for these. We went all out. Yeah, so, and if you can't wait until Series 3 and you want to back those, you can find it on our website, the merchandise section. We sell the hobby boxes there as well. Limited supply because Series 2 pretty much sold out way faster than I thought. I didn't expect they would sell that quickly. But yeah, people are loving them. And I'm happy they are. I'm really happy they are.
Right. That's so cool. I'm definitely going to have to get some.
Okay, cool. Will do.
But oh man, I had something else and I forgot. But I do want to say that I've actually seen your books on the shelves at my comic book shop.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that made me think like, oh, okay, like maybe there really is like, something to these guys, because I'd seen you on Twitter and Instagram, etc. And then I want to say it was an issue of Southside, maybe.
Yep, Southside. That's one of our mature. Well, we have like 2 mature readers, strictly for adults.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of action and violence, guns blazing. Southside tells the story of a guy who returns home to his hometown. He's found out his best friend's been murdered, and he wants answers. So he goes in search of who killed his best friend. Issue 2, he finds who kills him, and it's on after that. So that's comes. Issue 3 actually is coming next month. It'll be on your comic book shop shelves. And like I said, most people don't even know we're here, but quietly, in addition to being in those 54 countries, you can find our books Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Comixology Unlimited. You can find us Indie Planet, Drive Through Comics, Kindle, Apple. You can find our books pretty much everywhere, and including your comic book shelves. At least I forget. Like I said, we did all of that before Diamond reached out to us and was like, "Hey, we want to carry your books." So last year we just got distribution with Diamond, so we're pretty much global distribution now. So we've been making some headway, and I'm thankful. I appreciate everybody out there who's been with us from day one, and things are only going to skyrocket from here. So you get a chance, ask for Advent Comics at your comic book shop. They'll get them in there.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's what really like clicked for me. I was like, man, like they really like must be doing something, because I think there was one or two other books that I had seen, but Southside is the one that I remember the most. And I was like, I don't think it was an issue 1, which is what stopped me from picking it up, but I was like, man, like maybe I really do need to check these guys out. Like I said, Titan the Ultraman, I thought he looked awesome. But yeah, so that's fantastic.
Thank you.
And this Kickstarter, I'm definitely going to back. I'm trying to figure out which tier I want to go after. But
we have some catch-up tiers. We have a digital tier. Like I said, we're not trying to break the bank. I think our digital tier is under $25, and you get the whole story. So all 6 issues. We have a trade paperback. I see you like trades. The trade paperback tier, I think that's $30 or $35. It doesn't have issue 5. Doesn't have issue 5 in it though, but It has the bookend, which is Cosmos Omni, which actually is the first issue of Cosmos, and it's our first crossover with another publisher. Punt Press is Celtic Clan. It's how they get into the story, and then you have Cosmos 1 through 4. There's a special edition book. There was a Cosmos 3.5, which is an ultra rare book that only went out to like 35 people, but that's reprinted and it's in the trade paperback, so that's in there. And like I said, episode 5 or chapter 5 is about 40 pages long, and that's about to go up on the website. Actually, knock on wood, hopefully I can get that on the website before Monday, because I wanted to have a sale for it on Monday.
Okay. That
breaking news right here on your show. It's going up, and it should be.
That's awesome. You heard it here first, folks. Yeah. I'm saying this will be out hopefully either tonight or tomorrow as well.
Yep.
So it'll coincide.
Exactly.
That's so great. That's awesome. Yeah, no, I did see the trade paperback tier, and that caught my eye, because that's like my whole shtick. I love me some.
Yeah, I see you love the paperbacks. And don't worry. And one of the, actually, I don't think we'll get to it, but one of the stretch goals, now that we're in the stretch goal realm, if we reach, I think it was 13,000, there would be volume 2 Cosmos trade paperback made available, which will include issues 5 through issue 9. So those books will be available. But right now we're doing pretty good. Like I said, we're just starting the stretch goals. Some of the stretch goals we're offering, we have a couple homage covers, one being of one of the guest stars in the book, Patriot X from Amandala Comics. His name is Patriot X, and he's in a silent interlude, the G.I. Joe 21 cover. So we got a homage cover of that one. And that one is, I think, up next. That's our next stretch goal. And then there's also an Expendables version of homage cover. We have issues 7 and 8, which we're going to get to. If we get enough backers and enough support, we're going to throw them in as well. They're already done and ready to go. Actually, they're going off to the printers already. So issue 7, Andy Smith did the cover for that one, and his beautiful art. Issue 7 was done by Marcelo Mueller, did the art for that. Ross Hughes did the colors. So that's there. Issue 8 was done by Carlos Ramon, Carlos Ramon did the art for that. And Memo Regaldo did the colors. And 9 is still a secret, but that's also going to be a stretch goal. I can't tell you what happens in 9 yet, because that's another big book that we're working on. It's 48 pages, and we're almost done with that one. We're about 32 pages into that one.
Awesome. That's cool. And so you're rotating artists, throughout all these issues?
Yeah, well, I had one particular artist on the book, and things happen in the indie comics realm. That particular art couldn't keep up, and it was a lot of characters. He didn't want to draw that many characters, and I brought in one of our other artists, Dodi Ika, who was amazing, but the sheer amount of pages of story, it's crushing. So in order to catch up and to save Dodi a little bit of wear and tear, I brought in a few extra artists to help out. So they would do some of the other books where he's still doing the lion's share of the art. It gave him a break. Because issue 5 was 40 pages. Dodi did that. He's doing issue 6, which is 48 pages. And I'm like, man, I'm killing this guy. So I brought in 3 other artists to do some of the back books, issue 7, issue 8, and issue 9, and issue 10, which I can't talk about yet either. And then Dodi is doing art now. He's starting issue 11. The first 5 pages of issue 11 have already been complete. So
that's cool though. Obviously, you're helping out your guy by giving him a little bit of a break. But you also get to show off some of these other people.
Exactly. And I brag about the talented creators here at Advent all the time. And maybe I shouldn't, but I'm just so proud of these guys and gals. I call them the Untouchables. And I say, and it's gonna get me in trouble, but I'm known for it. I call them Untouchables because I think they're the best in the business. I'll put them up against anything the big two have to offer. And you guys are gonna see some amazing artwork. As a matter of fact, some of the preview pages for 7 and 8 are there. And when you see, I don't show a lot of issue 9 because that's where the majority of the guest stars are going to be. And there's some guest stars that are going to blow your socks off, and I don't want to spoil any of the surprise yet. But when you see the artists that I have in addition to Dodi, you're going to be like, man, these guys at Advent aren't playing. They aren't playing. I mean, it's serious. It's serious. As a matter of fact, when we get off the show, I'll shoot you a page, but you got to keep it top secret. I'm going to give you a preview of what's coming for issue 9. I'll show you just a snippet and let you tell your fans whether or not I'm boasting or if I'm legit telling the truth about the art.
Okay. Yeah. That sounds good to me.
All right. But please don't show anybody other than you.
Oh, yeah. No, you have my word to say it. Top secret.
All right. Okay, cool.
That's awesome, though. And I guess one last question, not so much about the Kickstarter. Where'd you come up with the name for your company?
Advent. The word Advent means coming. So I wanted to let other creators know that, hey, we're coming. We're bringing something what I consider to be lacking in comics at the time, because everything was dark and gritty. So I want to bring a lot of different things that I didn't see at the time. Not only just Black and brown characters. I want to bring different stories, different ideas. I didn't see anybody doing love stories. I did a superhero love story called Soulmate that actually it's gonna be a secret reward. If we had 300 backers for the Kickstarter, everyone's going to get a copy of that book. I didn't see anybody doing, like I said, books at the time like Southside, crime noir type stories, but like with a modern feel to it. So I just wanted to tell different stories, but yet they're the same stories, but different stories with an Advent twist on it. So, and people have been receptive to it. And they've been like, man, we love what you guys are doing. So, I mean, it's working. And so I think people are seeing what we have to offer. And like I said, I just want, people to see our work and judge for themselves, whether they like it or don't like it. But I think once you see our stuff, you'll like it. I think you'll like it.
Cool. That's cool. I always like finding out those little, obviously you told me your true origin story, but even like the origin story for the name of the company, I always think it's kind of interesting because I'm terrible coming up with names for things. So I'm always curious how people do it.
Advent meant coming, and I just wanted people to know that, hey, we're coming with something different for the indie comic realm, and I just wanted to just let people know something big and something splashy. So you see the big A, and then you see putting the soul back in the comics. That's our logo. And so everybody's like, oh, and another reason I did it, like I said, everybody was doing like dark and gritty stuff. So I was like, well, let's go ultimate dark and gritty. My whole first book was like about dark stuff. Like we had a story called Lazarus before Images Lazarus. Our Lazarus came out, and it was about the supernatural biblical character. He was a homicide detective, and he was going up against like a demonic character. So I mean, we went totally dark. We introduced a heaven and a hell, and our first book was about hell. So it was a play on everything in comics being really dark at the time. I'm like, okay, if we're going to go dark, let's really go dark. And our first book was called Pandemonium Evil Incarnate. It's like an 80-page graphic novel. And it was about basically, what if there was no light in the universe? I mean, we introduced a few superheroes and things of that nature, but it was about just dark stuff. So our very next graphic novel came out a year later called Champions of Hope. And it was about bringing the light in. So we brought the first issue was about hell. This one was about heaven. We had angels. We had superheroes who populated the whole book. So it was pretty cool. And then after that, we did a book called Advent Comic Spotlight #1, 68-page comic, reminiscent of the old dollar DC size books like Super Team Family, Adventure Comics. I used to love those as I was growing up. So I did my own version, and that particular issue kickstarted the Advent universe. So those were the first 3 books we did, and everything else flowed out of those 3 books.
That's cool. Is your Advent universe a shared universe, or like are certain parts of it shared?
It's a shared universe. All of our characters are in the same universe. So we have Deep Space Cosmic Freedom Fighters in our Dark Light and Crew book, and they share the same universe with Titan and the Ultraman and some of the other superheroes. As a matter of fact, issue 7 sees Dark Light and Crew come to Earth for a reason, and they end up getting into a fight with Titan's team, which is called the Regulators, and another team of heroes. So it's a big 3-way brawl. And so you can see the cover for that on our Kickstarter. But yeah, so characters who haven't appeared together, they all make their appearance, and they kind of gel and meet one another in this Cosmos Maxi series.
Cool. I can't wait to get my hands on it. Yeah. I'm really excited.
You might like it. I think you might like it.
But that's all I got. Oh wait, I lied. I'd be remiss to not mention that you're wearing an Advent Comics shirt, which I think is great. Yeah. Where can we get that?
On our website, adventcomics.com. You click on the link to merchandise, you can get all of our t-shirts, posters. We have it all. Trades. We sell gift boxes. We have all kinds of stuff on there. So you can get it all from our website.
Awesome. I'm big on like merch. I love like showing off the stuff that I've been.
Yeah. So. We have like 15 different styles of t-shirts right now, and I haven't uploaded we have 4 new designs that I haven't put on the website as of yet. But yeah, so I think you'll find something. We have all of our titles up there, so you'll have a lot of stuff to choose from. So go check out adventcomics.com. You can see us in your comic book stores as well, or any of the other outlets I mentioned. Like I said, we're here to stay. We're probably the best comic company that you've never heard of. I'll call it that.
Awesome. I love it. And I got to say that your passion for this is infectious. I feel like I've been smiling this whole conversation.
Thank you.
So I love that. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys do and what you continue to do. That's all I have.
For the ride. Glad to have you on board for the ride. Anybody who wants to check out Advent Comics, please do so. We love to have you. And like I said, we just want to make good comics. We're not going to hit you over the head with 1,000 messages and things. Even though some of the books do have messages, but it's still about the story and enjoyment of comics. Like I said, the comics I grew up on as a kid in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I want to bring that feel to today's comics and just give you something to enjoy. I mean, the world is a serious place right now, and we just need to just a little bit of enjoyment and escapism. Having comics provides that.
100%. Yeah, I love that. So that's all I have. Thank you so much for coming. You are welcome back anytime.
I would love to. Please, anytime you want me back, just say the word. I will be here. You got it.
That's awesome. I will absolutely be in touch. So with that said, Cupcakes, I'm going to wrap this up, and I will see you guys later this week for my Wednesday Warrior video with Connor. Peace.
Take care, guys. Thank you for having me.
Thanks a lot.